Hi, this is Ruth Page Nelson, and this is Miss Teresa Crozier Carroll. She is the wife of Jon Carroll of the Henry Report, the Henry County Report, Paul, John Keeley, Jonathan Graham, Mose Caleb, and whoever else, whoever the hell knows. What is his name, Teresa? Who is that?
Don't know what his name is. Don't know what his real name is. But yeah, I call him Jon Carroll.
And now, Teresa, you knew John from high school, right?
Yes.
And that was the name he went by in high school, was
Correct.
Jon Carroll. So I met you in about 2015, shortly after meeting John. He said that you were going to be the editor and that you were the love of his life and you wouldn't marry him and run away with him. So now how does it come back to you marrying him and running away with him and then running away from him? That's the story I want the public to know, and just who this person is, that who you know him to be, and what he is, how dangerous he is, and that this man's out threatening people's lives, killing people, etc. And this is just not something that we should take lightly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you shouldn't take it lightly. He did definitely threaten myself and you. He threatened our lives. And it had to do with exposing him with the Mossad, Israeli Mossad, and a killing that occurred in Dubai.
So
And
this is that Dubai killing, January the 19th, 2010, of someone named Mabu, something like that. It's all over the internet, and it goes under Dubai killing disguise faces a clinical murder.
yes,
This is a very serious individual, people. And now he's wandering around in Dothan, Alabama, Abbeville area, pretending to help the black people. I want to help the black people, and getting stories of what has been taking place around the drug trade. That
yes,
seems to be his specialty.
right.
Teresa and I had an opportunity with John to hear him tell how the drug trade really works in Dothan, Alabama. Remember that, Teresa?
Yeah, I remember.
At the library, and
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about the drug trade in Alabama, Dothan, in the area. Wiregrass is worth about $20 million a month in profit, and all the people who are in it. His cousin, talk about some of that.
Um, I don't want to go into great detail other than to confirm, yes, we did hear that. What cousins, I'm not sure. Which family members, I'm not sure. Is he involved? Yes, I believe he's involved. And the reason is he has now taken all the people that he was helping and he's targeted, personally attacked and targeted John Burke Kaler, Kenny Glasgow, Ruth Nelson, Teresa. Well, I haven't been targeted yet, but mine's coming.
Well, he threatened your life, right?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's targeting. You
Yeah,
don't take
and
it
so
lightly.
I haven't had any conversation or any kind of communication with him since probably Christmas, and I haven't seen him since I fled from him from Colorado, Silverton,
Now,
Colorado.
what happened? Tell us about this marriage and this divorce. I mean, this separation, because you're not divorced.
No, and
And you
he
don't know who
says
you're married to.
he says he annulled the marriage. That's what I believe, but I've seen no paperwork, so I'm going that we're still married at the time, but right now. But what happened was John and I had uncovered and had in our possession a lot of information, and as we sat trying to get stories out about the community in Dothan and surrounding areas, we decided, once we followed the chain of command and processed the information,
Right.
that there was nowhere we could go with it. We decided that ourselves, that there was nobody to help. And so what we
Why
just,
was that? Why was there no one to help? Because of who was involved?
he says that he had contacted and gone through the chain of command, and that he had contacted FBI or Homeland Security and anybody you could suggest. He had already done that, and they had offered no assistance.
Well, he had told me that if I went and found someone outside of Alabama, inside of the Department of Justice, that would take the documents that he allegedly had when he supposedly was fleeing to Canada with the 800 pages that showed that black men had had drugs and guns planted on them, that he would turn those documents over to them. Well, on a three-way phone call with Rashida Ogletree of the United States Department of Justice on about November 18th, 2015, this is before that story dropped on December the 2nd, of 2015, that guns and drugs have been planted on black men. This man promised Rashida Ogletree that he would send the documents by FedEx overnight. She explained to him there was no download. The Department of Justice can't go onto other sites and download documents or anything like that. So she assured him if he wanted to deliver those documents to the Department of Justice outside of Dothan or Alabama, he was supposedly in Washington State at the time, and he was to take them to a U.S. Attorney's office because she said we participate with our U.S. attorneys. Well, John didn't do either, and now to this day, he's never delivered those documents to the Department of Justice. I reported to the FBI that he had directly lied to a federal officer, which is the Department of Justice attorney. And the guy just shrugged it off. Daniel Sigmund just shrugged it off, which really put me on the alert that something really is not right about this situation. So he assured you he had already gone to all these people?
Right. And
But did he tell you he'd given them the documents?
He told me while he was in Washington State, during the same time you're talking about, yes, that he had approached and filed paperwork in federal court and turned documents over or make copies. He had to come up with money, and he got this money and to make copies. Yeah, he said he did. Yeah.
Right, but did you ever see the documents that he put in Washington State Court?
I've seen the documents prior to them going.
But they were only about 64 pages. He said he had 800 pages of documents. So he did not file the documents that were the internal affairs reports from the planning of drugs.
With him during that time. I stayed behind.
But Keith Gray had been the internal affairs officer during that time, and we were able to get validation on those documents. John White validated them, Keith Gray validated them, but Jon Carroll never turned the documents over to the federal government. Now, I did give those documents to some of those documents, especially the Steve Parrish transcripts and all, to the FBI, but he just keeps shrugging them off.
Right.
And that's a real problem. So now you're with him. He said you're researching, you're finding all this documentation out.
So the reason we left, I left with him, was because we had decided there was no help. That what was going to happen was everybody was going to turn on one another, implode, and somebody in the government, they would probably throw someone under the bus, whoever as low down as they could get, and shove them under the bus. And if they needed to, they'd just keep going up until they sort of hushed everybody. When I left last year, that was what we had. We weren't going to talk to anybody from home anymore. We weren't going to have any communication. We were just going to shut down and forget everything because we saw no help.
So he convinced you to just quit after you got all the information. Let it all drop down.
Yeah, because during that, I had personal things that were happening to family members and things, and things were getting worse for them, and I felt maybe it was, me reporting things making it worse. So we just
So who did you think was bothering the family members as you got involved deeper?
It was state that was involved with family members and trying to take kids away from moms. And
this is DHR type thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and threats of putting people in mental institution, Baker acting them, just all kinds of odd things that
Well,
didn't
John
make
is
sense.
threatening to have a psychiatric evaluation of me, pretending that I'm trying to attack people or look
take
up.
it serious because he did the same thing to me in Colorado.
So he did try to have you declared mentally incompetent.
He tried to get the sheriff to Baker Act me.
Really?
And go along, and the sheriff would have none of it.
So this is his scam, his scheme to go around attacking people when they find out the truth.
Yeah.
And now, hold on just one moment.